Hi, you are a React or React Native developer, and you know that working with online data can be challenging. So you have errors, loaded states, and complex requirements. They often make things very hard to manage. And you decided to use React Query, but now you face a common problem, how to manage and organize all the query keys in the code. For example, in this code, I have four query keys, and it's very easy to make a mistake. We have one here and another one here. So how to avoid to make those errors and make your code don't work as expected? Let me show you this small project. We have a to-do list. So this is just a CRUD of to-do items. We have the list here. When we click in the list item, we see the details of it. We can edit. So I can just change this to anything. And I can create new items. So for example, go to the gym and I can see this up to date here. And let's say I don't want to do laundry anymore, so I can also delete this. Very simple interface, very easy to understand. And you may notice that this is a very good example of how React Query can help us. Let's look at the code. So let's start by the API. I just created a simulation of an API. It has a fake delay of 500 milliseconds. It's just a CRUD of to-do items, and I put them in a namespace. So this is quite simple to understand. We have the list, the to-do list. It's this first page, just a query here that exposes the data from the API. We have the details. This is the screen when I click on some item. So this is just another query that retrieves this specific to-do item and renders it. We have an edition. When I click here on edit, this is the screen. So for this, I have a query here, and I have two mutations, one to update and one to delete. And I also have the creation of item. So this is the screen that creates a to-do item. This is just a mutation. And yeah, that's it. Very simple code, just to have as an example. If I look at those two screens, the details and the edition screen, they are independent, but they share the same query key. So it means that the second screen doesn't need to wait the server to retrieve this data. And I can have this effect by having the same query key here. So I definitely want to share the same key. So if I change this key, I will need to wait the server to return the data again. So for example, if I click here on edit and I change this key, I need to wait a little bit to load the data again. One simple approach to fix this issue is to move all the keys to a single file. So here, for example, I created a file that has functions to generate the keys, and I can use those functions around the code. So I am sure that those will generate always the same keys. However, this is not the best solution because I will still need to assure that I am calling the correct function. So I can do a mess, for example, if I change this function call to anything else, because I will have one function call here and other one here. So this won't solve fully our problem. There is this nice tool here called Query Key Factory by Luca Morales, which manages in a very smart way all the query keys. So this is the syntax to use. And let's do a refactor on our code to use this library. This is the syntax to use query keys factory. So I create the query key store, and then I divide it to domains. So I put the to do as the root domain, and then I create list and detail. For the list, I will generate a pair of query key. I just put undefined because the list is not specific to items, but all the query keys. But I could put filters here, for example. And the function is get all items. It always will be this function, so it makes sense to tie the query key to the function. And one interesting thing is that the query key is not this one, but to do list and then undefined. And the detail is similar, but it has an item ID. So the query key for this case will be to do detail and item ID. And the query function will be the get item function. With that in mind, I can just refactor all the code to use the queries. So starting by the to-do list, instead of having all this query key and query function, I can use queries.todo.list and just call this. And I don't need to have the API anymore. For the addition, I can, instead of using query key and query function, I can use queries.todo.detail and then call the item ID. I also have the invalidations here. So instead of directly putting which query key I want to validate, I can use queries.todo.detail dot, and then I can use item ID and query key here. Same here, but instead of to-do list, I use queries.todo.list.query key. And I also have another one here. So this is also for to-do list. So I can just copy this. Hold on. Yeah, here we go. Same for details. So instead of having this query key here and query function, I can use exactly this one here. So yeah, I have the, instead of giving the query key and the query function directly here, I just provide this. And for the creation, I just need to be sure that I am validating this very specific query. So this one is the list. So it's queries dot sudo list query key. And yeah, this is enough. So now we are sure that if, for example, we need to change the function call to maybe provide a token here, I am sure that all the system will work fine. The most interesting thing about the query keys factory library is the hierarchy management of the keys. Here, for example, I have a to-do root with two children, list and detail. And for each children, I just provide the query keys that will be in the end of the array of the query. So for example, if I go here on the details screen and I check what's inside this query, I can, let's log this, so query key, and then I open the browser, I can notice that the generated key follows all this hierarchy. Thanks for watching, and I see you in the next video.